In the high canopy, a giant is on the run. For over 100 years, scientists weren't even sure it existed. But one man has made it his mission to prove it does. And Daniel Bennett's taking a camera crew with him to one of the wildest places on the planet to bring back evidence of one of its rarest creatures. Will they find and be able to film Butaan, the lost dragon of the Philippines? Philippines. More than 7,000 islands strung along a vast arc in the Pacific Ocean. Somewhere amidst these ancient island forests lives one of the world's rarest and most mysterious creatures. A giant fruit-eating monitor lizard called the Butaan. British zoologist Daniel Bennett has been studying the Butaan for over 6 years, ever since a confirmed sighting led him to the Filipino island of Polillo. There are many species of monitor lizards, generally defined by their deeply forked tongues and long necks. They're found across Asia, Africa, and Australia. But only the Komodo dragon and the Butaan are recognized as vulnerable. First discovered in the 1840s, the Butaan was subsequently lost to science for 135 years, known only by rumor and a few skeletal remains. Then in the 1970s, a scientific expedition found a community of Butaan living in a remote jungle on the Philippines' main landmass of Luzon. It was a dramatic rediscovery of a forgotten creature.
And at the time, of course, we'd known about it for 135 years, but nobody knew exactly where it came from, nobody knew anything about it. And the discovery of a huge lizard that ate fruit was really something very, very remarkable.
The 1970s study revealed the Butaan to be the biggest fruit-eating monitor lizard in the world, growing up to a massive 7 feet long, the frugivorous cousin of the carnivorous Komodo dragon. The researchers quickly discovered that their subject was one of the shyest creatures in existence. The only way specimens could be captured for study was by using local hunters and dogs. Over 100 Butaan died in the process. In the decades that followed, no other scientist wanted to risk an already vulnerable species, until Daniel Bennett.
Because it's always been thought to be impossible to study without damaging the animals, which has really made it a non-starter for any sort of research project.
Daniel Bennett travels the globe tackling neglected conservation issues. A zoologist with a passion for lizards, his book on monitor lizards is recognized as authoritative on the subject.
This is feces of the rats have been here.
His scientific quest led him to the Butaan, also known as Gray's monitor lizard, whose behavior in the wild is a mystery. Why does it spend almost all of its time in trees? Why does it have the jaws of a carnivore, yet live almost exclusively on fruit? And most critically, how many are left in the world?
And probably occurred in a lot of areas, maybe up to 20, 30 years ago, and are probably now extinct in a lot of places. So they've basically been there and they've died out without anyone ever knowing they were there, which I think is particularly tragic.
Although Daniel was certain that a population of Butaan remained in the area of the 1970s study, information on their whereabouts was scarce. Then in 1999, on Polillo Island, Daniel found evidence of the lizards in an undisturbed pocket of ancient rainforest barely 1.5 miles square. From that moment on, the Butaan had found its champion.
Bhutan's important, first of all, because it only lives in a very small area of the Philippines, and the habitat it lives in is one of the most critically endangered habitat areas on Earth.
Roughly the size of New York City's Central Park, this remote area is crucial in providing essential habitat for wildlife. Reaching Polillo Island is an epic journey by air and by sea. The daily ferry is its one link to the mainland of Luzon. Few outsiders make the trip. Daniel's taken this journey many times. But this arrival is different. This time, he's brought a camera crew. Together, they will attempt to capture motion footage of the Butaan in the wild. They push inland toward the heart of Polillo. Along tracks excavated by hand and frequently wrecked by floods. Until the Jeep can go no further. They load their gear onto horses, then push on by foot toward the small patch of virgin rainforest that Daniel believes is one of the Butaan's last known habitats. They enter a world where many creatures camouflage themselves in the light and shadow. What chance can there be of filming this jungle's rarest inhabitant? If this mission is successful, Daniel plans to use the footage to raise greater public and scientific awareness of the Butaan and attract the support that will allow his research to continue. Finally, after 4 hours of hiking, they reach a small area of jungle called the watershed. It's virtually all that's left of Polillo's original forest. It's also a dense maze of swamps, clinging vines, trees armed with vicious thorns and jagged undergrowth. Nature's barbed wire barrier.
I've worked in quite a lot of different forests, but I don't think I've ever worked in one that's quite as spiny as this one. Basically, all your clothes get destroyed and your arms get torn up, and any exposed skin gets torn quite a lot, and you end up spending quite a few hours picking spines out of your skin, so it's quite hostile, really.
Daniel's gathered a team who know the Butaan not from books, but from a lifetime's experience living on Polillo Island.
Right, so is the seed in the top?
Chief among them is Mang and Tang, a legendary hunter who's now turned gamekeeper. As the watershed's official steward, it's his job to guard the forest and its creatures from illegal hunting and logging.
Is he still there? Not disturbing.
Also on Daniel's team are Mang Hill and Mang Kutu, jungle detectives who can find hidden clues of Butaan's passing.
By no means could it ever be an academic exercise, really, and it depends just about entirely on the skills of people like Mang Enteng and Mang Kutu in Mang Hill, because otherwise we would be completely lost. Literally. Literally lost.
Daniel depends on the formidable tracking skills of his Filipino colleagues.
Yeah. Destroyed.
And they respect the dedication of this single-minded scientist. The team is in place in the watershed, ready to find the Butaan. Will the notoriously shy Butaan finally step into the limelight? Coming up next on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, only on Animal Planet. Zoologist Daniel Bennett is in the Philippines on the trail of the rare and elusive Butaan. He believes Polillo Island is home to one of the last populations of the giant fruit-eating monitor lizard. And this is where he spent the last 6 years, trying to unlock the secrets of this amazing creature. The Butaan has chosen the jungle rooftop as its home, spending all but a fraction of its time hidden amongst the highest branches of the canopy. The team must be careful to avoid scaring the Butaan. In 6 years, Daniel's seen the subject of his research only a handful of times in the wild. The few encounters he has had suggest that if the wary giant senses danger on the ground, it will stay in its shelter tree for weeks at a time.
It's the shyest animal I've ever worked with, easily the shyest animal. If you make eye contact with a big male in a tree, you can easily stay there for 3 weeks. It's not unusual. He'll stay in that tree for 3 weeks and he just will not move.
Planning and positioning are critical because the best chance of filming the creature is when it ventures down from the forest canopy to feed on fruit trees. And that window of opportunity is quite small.
Adult Butaan probably spend about 20 to 25 minutes of each week on the ground. They probably just leave their shelter tree once a week and they'll go to find some fruiting trees and they go up the fruiting trees, eat the fruit very, very quickly, come back down again and then go back up a shelter tree.
Tracking the giant lizard with the help of jungle experts like former hunter Mang and Tang, Daniel knows that it is extraordinarily shy and seems to have developed a method of warning others of its species.
Because what we found, the more we've done this work, we found that the slightest disturbance to the lizards basically means they all run away. And you can frighten one lizard, and it doesn't only frighten that one lizard away, it frightens the entire population away.
Butaan are up there, somewhere, in the high canopy. But to have any chance of filming them, they must position the cameras in the right place at the right time.
What is this, Danny?
It's the footprint of a big lizard, but we know one big lizard quite well around here. See what his tail's been.
They find lizard tracks on a stream bank.
Here's his foot, and here's its tail. And I think that lizard weighs about 8 kilos.
This 17.5-pound Butaan may have headed to this tree, marked with the telltale scratches of lizard claws. Daniel and the Filipino scouts also find droppings in the jungle.
That's the lizard work on. I'm not sure how old that is.
Following the droppings, Daniel maps the Butaan's world, identifying the trails it follows during its brief times on the forest floor.
Because it grows really quickly.
These very tall trees with dense vine coverage are those it uses for shelter, which it leaves only to feed on the smaller fruit trees of the jungle.
This is clearly a tree that's been used many, many times over many, many generations. There's a lot of very old scratches in here, a lot of comparatively new ones.
The targets are chosen, a few small areas of the jungle where the canarium and pandanus fruit are ripe. But which of the fruit trees is it most likely to visit?
It's got ripe fruit.
Daniel brings in some high-tech assistance. Still cameras triggered by an infrared sensor, which he hopes will identify a tree that's being visited regularly by Butaan. He turned to this technology just 3 years ago. At first, it seemed an almost foolhardy exercise. They had to select single trees from thousands in the jungle on which to place the camera traps. And sure enough, the first results were frame after frame of nothing.
And we got amazing pictures of monkeys and people and dogs.
Then, scientific pay dirt.
The very last roll of film, I got this huge Butaan, just one picture of huge Butaan coming down the tree. And it was black and white and it was fuzzy, but it was really, really exciting.
The crew leaves, setting the camera traps in several locations to capture movement in the jungle. Then, on one of the trees, a Butaan. The location is right, but will the lizards come when humans are there doing the filming? It's time for the ultimate camera trap. But will it be enough? Find out next on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. On Polillo Island in the Philippines, zoologist Daniel Bennett is on a mission to study the giant monitor lizard called the Butaan. And to help, he's brought along a camera crew. Filipino trackers and high-tech infrared camera traps have helped identify a single fruit tree in the jungle where Butaan have recently been. This is where the camera crew will set up the camera hide and wait, maybe for weeks. Though the air and ground are alive with biting insects, repellent is banned for fear of scaring off the wary Butaan. Even the camera hide has been rubbed with jungle mulch, so its smell will not warn the quarry. Hour after empty hour passes. Every night is spent wondering whether the giant lizard will come at all. Every morning dawns with the hope it will be today. Then, late one morning, the stillness breaks. Finally, and unmistakably, a Butaan appears. This is the first footage of a Butaan in the wild ever shot by a camera crew. Judging by its size, it's a juvenile, probably less than a year old. The powerful back claws anchor its whole body to the tree as it swings out toward the hanging fruit, showing the source of the scratches that have helped track Butaan through the jungle. Rarely has this behavior been seen. The razor-sharp front claws grapple with the fruit, which it loosens with muscular jaws, then swallows whole. As the camera rolls, it's clear how carefully the Butaan keeps watch on its surroundings. Time and time again, it pauses. Like other members of the monitor family, the Butaan is believed to have extraordinarily keen senses of sight, hearing, and most of all, smell. It continues feeding. But every few seconds it stops and stares directly at the camera hide. Does it sense danger? It turns and leaves. On its way back down the fruit tree, it stops a number of times to check the forest floor, puffing out its throat in a threat display. These unique pictures will allow Daniel to bring the plight of the Butaan to the world. In the weeks that follow, the same technique of tracking and camera traps are employed on other trees in the watershed forest. In every location, the lizards display behavior that confirms many of Daniel's theories. He believed that Butaan fed from the trees and not fallen fruit on the ground. that they traveled in direct lines to the fruit trees. And primarily, that they always demonstrated an inherent cautiousness and surveyed the area before disembarking a tree. Daniel could now watch these theories come to life. At this fruit tree, the Butaan sees the camera lens move and freezes, staring directly at the hide for nearly a minute. Although it finally decides to continue feeding, the team has to be careful to ensure the lizard doesn't flee. Daniel believes the Butaan, like other members of the monitor family, have a system of scent signals to warn other lizards of danger. If this Butaan is accidentally scared, it may leave behind dung with a particular scent, and there will be no more lizards here for weeks, maybe months.
And we know this from camera traps where we've had lizards going up and down trees quite a few times a week for several weeks, and all of a sudden we'd encounter a lizard in the area, give it a fright, and then the camera traps will just go blank for weeks or months, or sometimes till the next year. No lizards will come to that tree. And that's clearly a case of the lizards leaving some sort of scent clue on the ground that there's danger.
And there's plenty of danger. Birds of prey, cobras, even carnivorous monitors make meals of young Butaan. This tiny juvenile, less than 9 inches long, forages on the ground. Is it searching for fruit that has dropped to the forest floor? Or following scent signals left by adults? As much as the video footage helps Daniel confirm his research findings, it also deepens the mystery. Daniel Bennett has another research tool, lizard dung, and it provides him with more than just scientific answers. Next. One of the world's most elusive creatures, the giant monitor lizard of the Philippines called the Butaan, has finally been documented by a camera crew. Zoologist Daniel Bennett hopes this footage will help him confirm many aspects of his research into this mysterious jungle giant.
We don't know anything about where Butaan lay their eggs, very little about the reproductive cycle. We don't know where the important nest sites are.
But Daniel is learning more every day, and the footage is proving invaluable in this understanding. On video, he sees Butaan actually feeding on one of its main food sources, the oily fruit of the pandanus palm. It looks effortless, like picking grapes from a bunch. But in reality, these fruit are almost impossible.
One of the things about this pandanus is that when the fruits are ripe, I need a pair of pliers to get the fruits off, and I'm quite strong, really, but these fruit are so firmly attached, even when they're perfectly ripe, that I need a pair of pliers to rip them off.
As this footage shows, the muscular jaws easily pry off the pandanus fruit. In a day or so, this Butaan will deposit the pandanus seeds in another part of the jungle. And the dung is a further key source of information. Daniel trawls the forest for Butaan droppings.
It's not glamorous, but for me this is like proper 21st century science, doing it this way. It's like forensic lizard science rather than just grappling the things out of the trees and scaring them.
Oh, that's exciting.
It takes a certain scientific dedication to get this excited about lizard dung. But to Daniel, these are compressed capsules of raw data.
Probably 80% or more of what we learnt about the lizard we've learnt as a result of picking up feces on the forest floor. And from that we can tell the size of the individuals that are using the forest, how recently individuals have used the forest, and crucially what sort of fruit they're eating, and so what sort of trees they're feeding from.
By the size of its jaws, Daniel suspects the Butaan may have originally been a carnivore, like its close relative the Komodo dragon, but that they adapted to eat the pandanus palm because they could, with almost no competition for this food source, and thus turned into the monitor family's rebel fruit eater. But what was the Butaan's original food source? Daniel has found fascinating clues in its dung, fragments of snail shell,
It's definitely been done by a lizard. What it's basically done is taken out the central spiral of the snail shell.
The shell is from Polillo Island's huge native snail. It grows up to 6 inches long, and its tough shell is a defense against most creatures. But not the Butaan. Daniel has found the remnants of snail in the lizard's feces more than 30% of the time.
The build of the lizard very much suggests that they were originally snail eaters, and the only other snail-eating monitor lizards in the world now occur in Africa. And they've got these big, heavy heads with massive musculature, and instead of having very sharp, needle-like teeth for grasping quick-moving prey, they've got these huge, blunt, crushing teeth. And together with the huge muscles, they can break very, very powerful shells.
Daniel occasionally finds in the feces the legs of a hermit crab, which made the mistake of sheltering in a snail shell.
Well, this is also the feces of a very large lizard.
Daniel's other important finding is that the Butaan, unlike other fruit-eating creatures of the jungle, passes fruit seeds through its digestive system intact. In fact, they're so unharmed that they're actually edible. Breaking open the seeds, Daniel proves this scientific point by eating it.
Yep. That's very delicious, and it's been picked for me by one of the rarest lizards in the world.
But this is an important scientific finding and underlines the Butaan's importance within the jungle ecosystem. On Polillo, no other animal eats the pandanus fruits except the rats. But rats often destroy the seeds while eating them. The intact seeds are able to germinate and grow, making the Butaan the fruit tree's primary means of dispersal. It's a discovery that's helped unlock one of the mysteries of Polillo, the strange positioning of the pandanus palms on the island. Elsewhere, the pandanus grows near coasts and lowland waterways because it's distributed mostly by water. Here it's found inland and on ridgetops, a fact that baffled earlier scientists visiting the island.
Often the lizard will eat 20 of these seeds at one time, and so when you find a clump of 20 young pandanus plants all growing in one mass and there's no possible parent plant nearby, then it couldn't be anything else. It must be fruit-eating lizards.
Daniel's discovery is critical in the search for Butaan on other Filipino islands. Butaan that might be discovered by the distinctive pattern of pandanus palms in their jungle habitats. And researcher Roldan Tugay plans to do just that. Roldan will search for the Butaan in a remote area of Luzon called the Sierra Madre. And he'll be following nature's homing beacon, discovered by Daniel, the pandanus palm.
Yeah, I like it. If possible, this project will continue and expand, not only here in Polillo, but to other parts of the Philippines where this lizard found. I believe that this lizard plays important role in the structure of forests.
Another mystery is why, of the wide range of fruit available in the forest, the Butaan eat so few, among them the pandanus, whose oily fruit is so unappetizing to most other creatures. The lizard's strange preference for the pandanus is the difference between life and death for other creatures. A whole mini ecosystem depends on the tree. Creatures like the striking and beautiful pseudo-gecko are found only on Polillo Island and only in pandanus trees. This makes the Butaan what scientists call a keystone species, a species on which other species depend. The pandanus depends on the Butaan, and the pseudo-gecko may depend entirely on the pandanus. It's a fragile chain of survival that Daniel and his team are doing their utmost to safeguard. The team has its hands full when it rescues a Butaan from hunters. Next. Zoologist Daniel Bennett's study of the world's largest fruit-eating monitor lizard continues on Polillo Island in the Philippines. And the camera crew continues to record this rare creature in the wild. But Daniel Bennett's team of trackers brings in a live Butaan, rescued from a local hunter's pig trap.
Okay, you just need to learn how to do this then.
With Daniel is a group of young Filipino scientists who plan to search for other communities of Butaan that might still exist in the Philippines.
So, ticks just on the claw basis.
This is a young lizard and seems to be in good condition.
So,
it's a rare chance for the scientists to study the Butaan up close, but they know they need to release the animal as soon as possible. With a tiny nick in its scales, it's marked for future identification. But the Filipino scientists Daniel is training don't always have high-tech equipment at their disposal. So Daniel's devised inexpensive techniques to study the Butaan. This presents a valuable opportunity to uncover one of the creature's greatest secrets: the location of the shelter tree it lives in. This is Daniel's low-tech tracking system. Hundreds of yards of cotton thread taped to the Butaan's tail, which will unravel when the lizard is released and makes its way to safety. The tape will fall off in a few days. Knowing that this Butaan was probably trapped by the hunter as it moved between its shelter tree and a feeding tree, they take the lizard to where they believe it was caught and release it.
goodbye, Butaan. Good luck. Don't fall in any more traps.
The team waits overnight to allow the lizard time to recover from the shock of its capture. The next morning, they follow the cotton thread through the jungle. A frightened creature might be expected to seek shelter in the nearest tree. But the cotton trail tells a different story. The lizard made its way through the jungle to a specific tree, about 1/4 of a mile away.
Here's the thread of our lizard. He's gone up this tree, but it hasn't come down again. This one's got that big tangle of vines in it up there, which is like perfect for lizards to sleep in. So it may well be that this particular tree is actually Shelf's tree. But the best way to find out is just to leave him alone for a few days and then come back and see if he's come down again. Yeah, he's had a very traumatic week, that lizard.
Daniel will keep this tree and its occupant under watch. But to Daniel, the specific path the lizard has taken through the jungle is of equal importance. Incredibly, the Butaan, which spends all but a fraction of its life in the treetops, moves in confident straight lines along the forest floor, almost as if following a map.
The last 50 meters has been absolutely dead straight, and it's heading straight for this tree because
And Daniel believes that's exactly what it's doing. His theory is that Butaan possess a better developed spatial memory than their carnivorous relatives. This provides them with a virtual map of the jungle. Daniel suspects that juveniles spend slightly more time on the ground than mature lizards, developing their mapping skills by following the scent clues left by feeding adults. This spatial memory serves as the Butaan's inbuilt navigation aid for the rest of its life, guiding it to food and shelter through the years. The more Daniel learns about the reptile, the more astonishing it's proving to be. Its navigation system, its ability to warn other Butaan of danger, and its vital importance to the jungle ecosystem. But the lost dragon of the Philippines is also a creature under grave threat. Far from Polillo Island, amidst the urban sprawl of the Filipino mainland, Butaan are being offered for sale. The illegal trade in live animals is carried out quite publicly in street markets. Although the Philippines has strict laws against animal smuggling, they're rarely enforced, as this hidden camera footage shows.
They're selling it here for 1,500.
Emerson Tsai is a reptile expert who's been investigating the illegal trade.
Butaan are being sold here whenever there's a buyer. Usually the seller do not have them in their shops, but when you ask them and you agree on a certain price, they will get it for you.
The Butaan are hunted on demand, with foreign buyers prepared to pay thousands of dollars for a single live specimen. But few survive in captivity even long enough to be smuggled out of the country. And because of their unique diet, the few that finally make it into a private collection rarely survive. Just where the Butaan being offered for sale come from is an utter mystery. Meanwhile, Daniel Bennett and the watershed's official steward, Mang and Tang, do everything they can to ensure they're not from Polillo Island. But far and away, the greatest danger to the Butaan is the deforestation of its jungle habitat. From the air, Polillo looks lush, but some 75% of the total island is actually coconut plantations. And what isn't coconuts is the scrubland left from logging, useless to the Butaan, which needs the fruit and shelter trees found in the remaining scrap of original forest. For now, the watershed is officially protected, not because of the Butaan, but because it's Polillo Town's only water source. But all around it, isolated stands of forest are still being cleared for lumber and farmland. In the last 100 years, it's estimated that over 70% of the ancient jungles of the Philippines have been slashed and burned to make way for pineapple, rice, and coconuts. For the human inhabitants of Polillo, the coconut is essential. It's their main industry. It's backbreaking work to produce the highly valued copra, the dried flesh of the coconut, which yields coconut oil. They're harvested, then husked and chopped in half. The kernels are laid over a fire pit, fueled by the coconut husks, to dry. Hours later, the copra is scooped out to be bagged and shipped to the mainland. Without this export industry, the islanders wouldn't be able to afford the essential supplies they need. The smoke of the copra drying pits drifts over the countryside, driving the Butaan deeper and deeper into its forest refuge. But hope exists for the Butaan in the shape of a baby lizard named Gracia and a zookeeper named Matt Uchek. Up next, illegal hunting and the destruction of its ancient forest habitat are putting the lost dragon of the Philippines, the Butaan, at risk. On the island of Polillo, zoologist Daniel Bennett and his team are racing against time to study and film the world's largest fruit-eating monitor lizard before it's too late. Yet near the Philippines' capital city, Manila, there's a private zoo called Avalon, where a baby lizard is making history. Reptile expert Matt Uchek is a potential savior of a species. Matt's managed to do what few others have: keep rescued Butaan alive in captivity. The stress of capture seems to suppress their immune systems, and very few last longer than a couple of weeks in captivity. But Matt's done more than just keep this handful of Butaan alive in Avalon Zoo. He has, for the first time ever, successfully bred the giant lizards. And Gracia is the result.
I named her Gracia because I feel she's a grace from God. Just recently, we celebrated her birthday with a special birthday cake with one candle. You know, it was definitely a big day, really.
Next year, Matt hopes to extend his breeding program at Avalon Zoo and share his methods with other zoos, so that one day perhaps the Butaan can be released into the wild and help ensure the species' survival.
I'm trying to produce another clutch this year, so maybe the babies we can arrange for release into the wild in the future.
Daniel Bennett's Polillo Butaan project estimates a population of only about 500 creatures left on the island. Daniel is training Filipino scientists so they might find other communities of Butaan in the Philippines.
There's a small but really hardcore, determined group of conservation biologists in the Philippines who are completely committed to what they're doing, and my feeling is that as long as there are people who really believe, it's impossible to give up hope.
Daniel is leaving behind a legacy of understanding and of hope. And now, with the amazing footage of the lost dragon of the Philippines, Daniel will be able to publicize this virtually unknown creature and raise public support to save it. The Filipino biologists trained by Daniel are heading off to other remote regions to look for signs of other populations of Butaan, using the inexpensive techniques developed here on Polillo Island. And there's been success. Since making this film, researcher Roldan Dugay was able to locate a new population of frugivorous monitor lizards in the Sierra Madre. This bodes well for the quiet and reclusive Butaan. If methods can be developed to conserve the small, fragmented population on Polillo Island, perhaps the same can be done where other populations are found. Sometimes, vulnerable creatures find a human champion, someone like Daniel Bennett. Perhaps the Butaan story will not end in tragedy, but triumph. Perhaps the magnificent dragon of the Philippines will not be lost after all.